It's an effect like this is where Down and Dirty Tricks is really all about, is taking things that are very popular and in TV and movies today, and then making it accessible to the Photoshop user and creating and emulating certain types of effects. This one I was so inspired by the moment I saw it, and it's the new A6 3D commercials. It's actually got a jogger running, and then it shows a whole bunch of words that are almost falling off their body, and it was done in a very cool, very 3D way. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube. It's A6 2010 ad campaign or something like that, and see what I'm talking about. It looks very, very cool. And we're going to recreate a similar effect to that here inside Photoshop. Now, true, it will be a static effect. It's actually a animation in the commercial, but we're going to create a more static version of it using some simple brushes. So, here inside of Photoshop, I've got this stock image of this girl running, and this is going to be the subject we're going to use to create this effect. And the first thing I need to do is, I've already done a couple of things here just to get a jump start, and that's I've got this on its own layer, but beneath that, I've already got a layer containing the background elements, or the background color, which is just the black, white, and gray areas of the design background. On the image, what we need to do is create a mask for the image. We need to put a layer mask around our subject. So I'm going to use the lasso tool and use the brand new refined edge, refined mask, if you will, either way. It refines the selection in the layer mask, and it's brand new to, well, it's not brand new to CS5, but it is enhanced, so much so that I find myself using it quite a bit more now to extract images, and it does a really, really good job of extracting, even based on a very loose selection like what I'm about to do now. So I've got the lasso tool selected. I'm just going to go here and draw a selection. Now, of course, if I was masking this subject for compositing or something like that, I would probably create a much cleaner mask, or perhaps even use quick mask mode. But since the effect we're going to be painting back in here kind of, messes with the edges anyway, I'm not going to worry about being super precise with the selection, but I am going as precise as I can, and if it seems like I'm really, really precise, it's only because I'm using a tablet. Doing this with a mouse would be nearly impossible, if not just completely crazy. All right, so got a little area there. I'm going to add a little bit to that arm I forgot there, a little bit there. But now, so my selection is made. I'm going to go up here and click the Refine Edge button. And you can see, just by looking at the preview, it's really not bad. It got a fair amount of the edges there. So let's go ahead and turn on Smart Radius and just boost this up and see how much it cleans up those edges. It's cleaning them up very nicely. So it's getting a little too much, so we're actually going to take the Refine Radius tool and just paint over areas that are supposed to be cleanly edged, like that. And you can see, so it's masking some areas. So we need to bring back some areas using the Erase Refinement. So we can bring that down here, and there we are. We're getting much cleaner edges. Let's do that down here. Very, very nice. Great new feature, this new Refine Mask. It is making life much easier when it comes to masking and creating edges like this, especially around complex edges that have hair and soft edges. It's really, really a great new feature. So spend some time with it and really explore the possibilities with this particular feature, because I guarantee you, if you didn't use Refine Edge before, you will definitely check it out. Want to look at it now. All right, so I think that's clean enough for what we're going to be doing for this effect. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and it generates a selection based on that, and then we'll go ahead and activate a layer mask by clicking on the layer mask icon here. There it is. Now what I want to do is go in here and grab the lasso tool, and I'm going to draw a selection around roughly half of her body here, just mostly on this other half. A little less than half, actually. Just kind of around this and coming down the leg here. Pretty much over the whole height of her body, right around there. Now, made an active selection, so I'm going to put it in quick mask mode so I can see what it looks like visually, and I'm going to soften those edges by running a blur on it. So we'll go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we can see about a 10 pixel, about 10, 12 pixel blur will be fine. Actually, we'll do about a 10. And then we'll press the letter Q to go back in there. Now, I'm going to fill that selected area on the layer mask. Notice we are selected on the layer mask, not the layer itself. I'm going to fill that selected area with black, normal, OK. And it masks out the rest of that image. Now we need to go and make the brushes we're going to use to bring in this effect. So I've got a file I've created here. It's just a very small document. And watching the commercial, you could see that the point of the commercial is that they're running and they're being washed of the stress and anxiety and doubt and all those things. And that's what's really kind of falling off in those words. And it's really kind of a clever concept. So in this, we're going to actually make brushes out of several of those words. In fact, I've already got one here for the word stress, and we can just go into the edit menu. And since it's white or it's a black words on white, I can simply go to edit, define brush preset, and there's my stress brush. I can highlight the words and we can type doubt. And once again, define brush preset. Now we have a doubt brush. What's another one? How about we have stress, doubt, let's say fear. I think that was another one I saw in there. That was kind of cool. And define brush preset once again. So I'm only going to do those 3, but you get the idea, and you can define all different types of words as brushes. And then when you get back over to your image, you're going to select your brush tool. And you go inside, and there are your word brushes that you've created. So we'll actually go ahead and, let's go ahead and grab let's grab fear. And there it is right there. Now, if you were to paint with it now on the layer mask, you would see just the big word fear, and it's kind of trailing like that. Not what we want. So we're going to change the behavior of that quite a bit by opening up the brush options. And first, activating shape dynamics. Inside here, we're going to take the size jitter all the way to 100. Go ahead and turn off the pen pressure if it is, or any of the control settings that it has on. Turn those off. Angle jitter, 100%. Roundness jitter, 100%. So it really kind of tosses it around in space here. As you can see on the angle jitter and everything's like that. So now next, activate scattering. So we activate the scattering. We have that scattering quite a bit. Let's do it at around 300. And now you can see it's really going crazy. In fact, we can drop that size down quite a bit, I think. And let's see what we got here. So really kind of scattering the words. Here, let's push them out here a little bit so you can see what's happening here. It's tilting them in different directions and rotating them. Really like there's just flying words all around. So now what we're going to do is over inside of the image, we're going to paint directly on the layer mask, painting with white. And depending on where we paint, it's going to bring back in those areas of the image along that edge, and making that edge seem like it's not so much broken up by a soft gray or a soft selection, but more of these words that are kind of breaking off on the edge there. And look how cool that is. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. So you can see the word fear is just kind of painting around in there and just kind of building back in elements around her. So let's actually go and get another brush. That's looking pretty good so far, but let's go ahead. Now, to save the behaviors of this brush, let's go ahead and save it as a tool preset, and we'll call it the Fear brush. Fear the brush. And let's go and create another one. Let's actually go and we'll do doubt. It's doubt, no doubt. So all the size jitters there, scattering's on, and let's boost up the spacing quite a bit. And we'll bring that size down considerably. And now we're painting with the word doubt. So we can go in here in the arm area, and you notice how it's starting to bring back the arm a little bit. With her arm in the background there, we can just kind of build more elements here. But now we're just painting in and bringing back certain parts. And it's starting to bring in the background area too. We don't want to go too far, because that background's not really going to be distinguishable. But what we are going to do is go ahead and build a new layer. Just bring a new layer, do a blank layer above that image. And then what we're going to do is, when we have the brush tool selected, we can go and sample different areas. Like here in this area where the shorts are, I'm going to click and sample that dark color and then just paint away off in the distance more of those words that are kind of falling off and just kind of going away in the distance. We can sample the skin tone here and just have some kind of falling off here. Maybe get a lighter color. And just have those words just kind of falling away off into the distance. Just like that. And we can continue to work directly on the layer mask as well, painting with white with those words and bringing back in those elements. And also on the layer mask, if we flip around and paint with black, we can actually kind of break apart the edge over here on the other side, where she's kind of running, and just have some words kind of like starting to break off on this side too. Really interesting way of using brushes. And again, we can go on that layer above it And just like we did over there, we can sample over here and just have some other words kind of falling off. Let's go and grab our other brush. We're using our doubt brush, but let's try our fear brush. Come around here, we can paint some skin tones around here and just kind of get the words just kind of falling around all around her to give you very similar to effect to that which they had inside in the commercial. So you can see we've got two layers happening of elements just kind of flying around, just kind of doing their very cool thing. Now, one last thing you can do to this to make it really interesting. So you can see the words in there, and of course I only did 2 words of the brushes we defined, but gives you an idea of the possibilities with just masking and everything. But what we can do is on the layers that contain some of these elements, go and grab the blur tool, and then go in here and just blur some elements at random points, and that will kind of give it that little bit of depth of field to it. And that's something else I noticed in the commercial too, is that they really did manage the depth of field of those elements really well by adding blurs in very strategic points to give it that much more realistic depth to it. So you can really see like it's fallen off, it's got a sense of movement to it, and looks very, very cool. And then finally you can just go ahead and add the finished text. Oh, looks like it's the wrong color there. There we go. But there we have our A6 ad built from those flying words. And it could be anything. It could be letters, it could be words, and you can make them bigger or smaller because they are a brush. You can virtually do anything with them. But again, inspired by that very cool commercial. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's an animation, but this is one way of bringing that kind of effect into Photoshop and using the brushes to create something like this very similar. So experiment with it, try it on different subjects, and get all kinds of cool different results right there inside Photoshop with custom brushes.